Hey, you guys, it's Jen. Super excited to be here with you this morning. Wow. Okay. I am signing in early today. I used to do all my videos in the morning, and then somehow it ended up more like in the afternoon, evening. It just is what it is. I ebb and flow. I hope you guys are okay with that because the reality is that the best way that I can be is my authentic self and to follow the feel. So go with the flow, right? So if I feel, I don't know, inspired to be here in the morning, I'll be here in the morning. If I feel inspired to come in later on in the day, that's when I'll be here. It's when I can be my best for you. So, and life happens to me too, and I'm studying and, all that good stuff. And so sometimes, it can kind of, chew up some of the energy. So sometimes you end up with getting a post of a picture or something like that. And it's like, I don't think I have anything just left in this moment. And the reality is in those moments, the reserve is for me. My self-preservation and like sustaining myself is really, really important to me. And sometimes I'm better at that than others, but that's part of my sort of self-love, self-care um, aspect in my life, right? That I have to really manage more so my energy. It's funny. Um, we talk about, and I apologize, my hair. I'm getting my hair done on Saturday, so that'll be great. But we talk about time management and things like that. And time management really is not the thing. That's a productivity thing. And I can certainly see the agendas out there in industry and business and, let's make more money, do more, talk to more people, do. And yes, doing is very important. Obviously, if we don't take action, nothing happens. We know that whether or not we're talking about personal development or whether or not somebody wants to build a successful business or whatever. Time has its place, but I don't give time as much value as maybe some people do. For me, I prefer to focus on the energy. So the energy that I have that I can bring to the time that I have. And so I hope that that's something too that you can even consider for yourself on your journey, that to start honoring that energy within you, start to recognize the energy. It's funny. Now I'm going to talk. This is this is more about women than men. So I'm not a man, so I can't speak on behalf of that. So, and I'm not omitting men in this conversation. In fact, I'd really love to have a conversation with men about their different energy levels and stuff. But I know as a woman, right, we're cyclic. And it's funny, I remember this is quite a few years ago now, but chatting with some friends and we were talking about, I guess there's this book called Flow. And I don't even know, there might be a website that goes along with it and a lot of things, but it's like really learning the cycles um, as a woman. Now I'm postmenopausal now, so I'm not cycling so much as I used to, kind of thing. But we still ebb and flow, right? Women are very much um, in connection with the moon, and you think about tides, and all the changes. Like it's very fluid. We're constantly flowing back and forth. And that, of course, affects our energy. There's going to be times that we're way more productive, and there's times that we are like not productive at all. But being not productive in those moments is actually the most productive thing you can do so that you can actually have that sustained amount of energy when you are energized, that you can really bring it. And so, that's something that I have really learned about myself is that, you know, I can do better when I allow my energy to be at its best. And that's still an area that I continue to want to improve. I have really worked on honing my sleep. That was huge. Hydration, getting enough water throughout the day, huge deal with regards to my energy level. I suspect yours too. Nutrition is still an area where I know a lot and I do well, but I could do better. And yeah, I think there's just always room for improvement, right? And I know for myself that I'm being called more and more to eat more fruits and veg and more like things that are alive with sunlight, that energy. For some reason, my body's being very much called to that. I'm not saying this for everybody, this is me. And also, I'm being called to be in the woods more, like go hiking, go in and just lose myself in the woods, like not just take the known paths that we have. We have like 400 acres behind us. And, we have tons of woods roads and stuff in there, which is fantastic. But there are times where I'm just like, go there. And I go off the beaten path and there is no path and I make a path. And I love that. I love almost like, I don't know, I don't really get lost in the woods per se. Um, yeah, I just like, I love to follow my intuition and using that more and more allows me to cultivate that relationship with my intuition more and more. That's definitely part of um, women are generally speaking more intuitive than men. Not always, not saying this is an always or whatever, not at all. Um, but it's something that we all have. I liken it to like the right side of our brain, right? We think of our left side being very logical, while our right side is more of that emotional, that intuitive side. And society really hasn't appreciated that in our lifetime. It really hasn't been something that's been valued, which is really unfortunate because I think we all can value walking into a room and you can feel like you're walking on eggshells. That's a good, it's a good thing, right? A good thing to know that you don't necessarily like walk into the land and step on a landmine immediately. There's a lot of protection that can come from that, but also incredible guidance um, with everything. Anyway, so that's not exactly what I want to talk about today, but I just thought I'd go down that path a little bit and just bring you along on my journey a little bit so you guys can get to know me a little bit better and how I work and how I think and all the good stuff. And not that it matters how I think, what matters most is how you think. But as I share ideas, maybe I challenge a current perspective you have. Um, you know, it's we really act as mirrors. So oftentimes, if I say something that triggers you, look at that within yourself. Don't necessarily attach that to me. At the end of the day, I know for myself when I see triggers in my life, right? It is very easy. It's very loud out there, right? So like you can get right riled up or whatever. But 9 times out of 10, certainly maybe not so much in the moment, but as time, like as you can kind of calm yourself, right? Then you have an opportunity to go within and take a look at that because that is a part of you that maybe you weren't all that aware of. And maybe it's an area where more awareness is needed because maybe you're called to heal that area. So, and I know I talk about triggers a lot or things like that. And there's probably different language we could use. I'm trying to use language that's very familiar to a lot of people. Um, and there's going to be times that I talk about stuff that maybe is not all that familiar. That's okay too, right? Being exposed to new ideas is great as well. So it's funny. Something I actually did want to talk about today is a neutral perspective. Now, you guys know I just had a birthday, September 30th. I am a Libra, and so that's my zodiac sign. And I'm not like, say, huge into following all the planets and all that. I have other people that I listen to that is their passion and they're very knowledgeable and I love that. But Libra, something that I've always known is I think it's one zodiac sign actually that's not like an animal. It's a balance scale, like the justice symbol, the two basically the scale, right? So the justice, I love balance. And balance is a good thing, right? We think about homeostasis in your body. When you're in homeostasis, you're in a good place, right? That's kind of our neutral space. And, not too much of anything, not too little of anything, just the right amount, right? It's like the story of the three bears. Um, Goldilocks and the three bears. Anyway, so I really love um, balance. And I seek that in my day-to-day life and in my personal work. Um, I look for neutrality. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's talk about opinions, right? Oftentimes, I think we really believe that we are sharing truths, but it's our truth, which is really opinion. And this is our challenge that we have, I think, in this time is to really strengthen our use of language because when we think we're sharing truth, but really we're sharing opinion, we can really get up on that soapbox and go to town, and we can decide what's right or wrong based on our values. And this is the whole challenge today with really challenging our thinking with regards to social problems and social justice. And so now, just to let you know, this is somewhat inspired as well because two of the courses, so I'm taking 4 university credits right now. My final 4 credits to finish my Bachelor of Science degree in psychology and biology. And 2 of the courses actually are sociology courses. And psych is my, like, I don't know, my baby. I've loved psychology. I love looking at, thinking about the individual, why we do what we do, how we do it, all the motivations, I like all the inner workings. I like all the details. I like it all. Sociology, however, has not necessarily been my favorite subject because it's about groups and it is a lot of, and reading in these textbooks about sociological imagination, right? So applying this, using your imagination as to gain awareness about context. And ultimately, we all have our own views and we believe our views are right, right? I mean, they're based on our values. Um, and for all intents and purposes, you're right. It is right for you, but it's not necessarily right for everybody. You may have heard me use the analogy before about a measuring stick, right? And I look at let's say, our belief systems, what I believe to be true, the things I value, things I prioritize in my life, whatever. It's like I have my own little measuring stick. And this measuring stick is right for me and me alone. This is not necessarily right for anybody else. Hey, if you choose that this measuring stick fits your life, fantastic. We can share it. But the reality is that's not necessarily the case overall. And when we look at larger groups, we get out of our, like, there's me as an individual here, and then I have a family within my home, and then my family lives within a community, and the community lives within a bigger community, and the community lives within, um, uh, like areas when you think of like geographically speaking, you get out of our town and then you go further and there's a city and like anyway. So you get the concept. When you grow up in different areas, when you're exposed to different experiences, everybody has their own lens, their own set of glasses that they are viewing life through. And it is incredible how the social problems that we have today are really just a contrast of people's value systems. And we all have the right to our opinion, but with different generations, especially, I think that we're seeing the majority of the social problems that bump up or creep up within communities and stuff at large is really just different generations coming in with a whole new host of views on how they, what they value, that kind of stuff. And it can trigger a lot of issues. So when I talk about neutrality, it's really about our opinions and where we sort of place them. If you were to imagine a pendulum, right? Where do we place them? There's my view, there's your view, and then there's the truth, right? I think that and when I say truth, this is what I consider in some ways the neutral view that I want to personally be able to hold space for all of it. My view, how I see it, but I don't want so much attachment to that view that I need to fight to the death necessarily. I will on things that are like really, really, really important, I guess. I would fight to the death on that per se, but generally speaking, a lot of things are not necessarily fight to the death issues, okay? But there are some of those issues. So not to dismiss or diminish the value in those things. But generally speaking, there's my view, and then maybe there's this differing, truly contrasting opinion to mine. And if I can hold both within my mind, and understand why this person feels this way. I don't have to feel that way, right? Like, this is the challenge. You go on social media and people are attacking people's points of view as though they're trying to change somebody. And some people are trying to change you. Doesn't mean you have to, doesn't mean you need to correct them. They don't want to know the difference. They're in their bubble. Let them stay there. You go live your happy little life, right? The other thing is there's a lot of trolls on social media today too. A lot of fake accounts, tons of fake accounts. And it's incredible that you see people hook on immediately and they want to give these really polar things so that they can get people arguing. And it's incredible to watch because people are falling for it. I I know it's, say, relatively new that that's such a big agenda right now, rather than um people are not necessarily just stealing accounts and hacking into people kind of thing. They're cloning accounts and doing this stuff, or they're posting things. I found actually quite a few, which I find very fascinating, of these fake accounts, where they are uh, you go look at their profile and go mine down and look at the frequency that they post. Look at their posts too to get a general idea, because I'm seeing some people that are really trying to push some spiritual agenda. They've got, image, that so-called is, let's say, it's pleasing, right? It's something that if you were spiritual, you would say that's a good post. But if you look at the frequency of when they're posting them and you mine down, that account was all but created today. Maybe the account has more longevity than that, but the last 17 posts were posted within the last 17 hours. Like, these are not real accounts. These are not real people that have anything to offer. So when they are commenting on something and trying to create a flurry, you don't have to engage with them. In fact, what I actually have chosen to do is when I see people do that to other people or to me, I immediately go block them. I'm blocking people left, right, and center. I mean, I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you now, and I don't need to see you later either, right? I mean, I'm good. These are boundaries. I think this is how we can truly use social media to our advantage, right? To create an experience that is positive, and at the same time, otherwise, I'll be getting off. you know and if I do, I'll let you guys know, because I suspect the day will come when I'll be done with social media, because it is just there's so much to the algorithms and stuff that they're honestly kind of destroying the experience. So chances are I'll be on something like YouTube or something like that, as to do some videos and stay in touch with everybody, but I'm not interested in the chaos and crap. So anyway, again, that's back boundaries with regards to self-love and my self-care, right? It's like, I don't need it. I don't need that energy in my day. I don't need to think about, you know, some silly comment that somebody says and then reading 20 people attacking them, and just seeing all of this, this one individual who's probably not even, doesn't necessarily have pure intentions, and they throw everybody into chaos, which is sad. So, talking about neutral, back to neutral. There is a lot of value in seeing the neutral. Again, I can have my belief and understand why I feel that way, and also understanding the fact that that is not necessarily the shared collective view by the world, because it's my view. It's just how I see things. It's based on my experiences, my values, that kind of stuff. So I'm not so attached that somebody doesn't necessarily have to see the world through the same lenses that I do. That's okay. Um, I love our differences, to be completely honest. Oftentimes, if people can be respectful, I really love to hear their opinions too, because, we bring so much value to each other. We have different ways of looking at things, and oftentimes, something that I may not necessarily value in this moment, when somebody else brings it up in a really passionate way, all of a sudden, maybe I am stirred by that. Maybe that is something that um, I value as well, and I didn't even realize it. Now I do. And thank you for that. So, but getting to that place of neutrality, and I call it sort of a moderate, because I can kind of swing either way. But 9 times out of 10, something that I find, if you guys know me, right? If we're actually in relationship, not just here with these videos or whatever, but if you know me and we have a relationship, then you probably have seen me in action when oftentimes if somebody has a really polar opinion, what I do, and I don't even know that in some ways that I do it, this is just like an innate thing that I do, is I will show the opposite opinion. And it's oftentimes people think that it's like, oh, that's a really negative view, or that's, or maybe that's way too positive, or that's, whatever. People will have some opinion about the view, but the reality is I'm not too attached to it. There's things I'm really attached to, but less than you might think. So oftentimes, if I'm offering that, say, polar opinion, it's because I'm going for balance. So bringing balance to the conversation. And oftentimes what that does is it sort of like can cause some irritation in the other person, right? They're just like, oh, I mean, they feel this way. And then all of a sudden I'm sharing this completely contrasting view. And it's like it challenges them to have to step up and validate their opinion and recognize that truth has a lot of facts around it oftentimes, but opinions aren't necessarily so grounded. And I'm not here necessarily to break it down, but if it's meant to break down, if you're meant to become aware that you didn't really have a lot of facts to back that up, or maybe you think you still do, right? We can justify anything in our mind. Um, but at the same time, it's just part of conversation, right? It's part of us expanding our perspectives, having an opportunity to challenge our views. Because if you're up to having your views challenged, you're very confident in your views. I love that. I love that. And I can easily find balance as people balance their views. So why do I do this? Well, funny. um, I am a Heyoka empath, and you guys might not be necessarily aware of what that is, but I've been an empath forever. I never really knew that I was per se. I just was. And over time, I've really grown into that. And I have other, there are different types of empaths, and there's a few that I fit nicely into, but that one is probably the one that I feel the most at home with, because she's the sacred clown, right? And somebody who provokes people to challenge their views and to create more clarity, to create more awareness. That's part of like the healing medicine of the Heyoka empath. And it's kind of a funny thing, like as I sort of get to know her, get to know the magic within, right? Don't we all have our little idiosyncrasies or whatever? But um, I love the kind of conversations it can stir up. And usually other people do as well, right? Usually the ending is very good. Um, but at the same time, right, it can be a pain in the ass. And I know that. I know that, right? I mean, nobody wants to be provoked, say, all the time, or nobody wants to think all the time. Nobody wants to, I do. Sorry. It's just my makeup. That's just how it is, right? I can even play with regards to doing my work. It's not necessarily all work. It's not all hard. Don't get me wrong, there's some deep stuff that I go into and I can stay there for a while, and it can be heavy and, all of that kind of stuff. But I think I was literally built to do the work. I I like to stay with it. I'm okay with feeling all of it, the good, bad, and ugly, and everywhere in between. And I'm so grateful that I am. And over time, my goal is really to help more and more people find that space of neutrality. And here, I just want to share a couple reasons why it's so valuable. Because again, it's not that you can't have your opinion. Of course you can have your opinion. It's based on your values. Don't change you. I mean, if something's meant to change, be open to change, be open. But at the end of the day, this is about you having a view and feeling confident to say, back that up, but also recognizing you're not the only person in the world. Your views are not the only views. And that's not the only view that has any value in this world. We don't know where everybody's going, what everybody's doing, and what people need to know, what lessons they need to learn. we don't know. And so we want to stay out of everybody else's way, stay in our lane, do our work, and allow other people to experience their struggles and their challenges and not rob them from their opportunities of growth and their opportunities to struggle and grow from those struggles. So that's truly how we can honor people's journey. And part of that is knowing what it's like to stay in your own lane. It's tough, right? I mean, it's really tough because things are noisy out there and it's very easy, right? I mean, I could just literally I could go on Facebook right now, find something that, all of a sudden everybody's, has all their opinions and I could jump in and have my opinion too, right? Then I get all attached to it and all this energy that comes up in my body, these stress hormones, because I've decided to engage in garbage. Like Jim Rohn used to say, something to the effect of, you can get probably a meal out of a garbage can, but I don't recommend it. Um, I don't want my diet each and every day to be of garbage. I don't only want to be entertained. I don't only want things that are comfortable. I don't want a limited experience of life. And so therefore, that means you got to hold more. You got to grow your capacity, and hold that space for everyone to recognize that everyone's views have value. Does not mean it has to change your view, but we do need to allow each other to have our own views and understanding, taking the time to understand them, you know, changes that attachment of like, I'm so right and you're so wrong. When you actually hear the reasoning behind why some people feel the way that they do, all of a sudden you open up. You can feel that expansion of where you've grown in your understanding of like, yeah, okay, no, that's okay. That totally makes sense to me. And we need more of those moments, right? Where we're bumping into all these social problems and stuff, where we are allowing ourselves to continue to expand in our ability to hold space for people. So part of the reason why we want to actually focus on shifting towards more of a neutral view. Okay. Let me just share a couple things. So first, emotional balance. Viewing things as neutral helps maintain emotional equilibrium by reducing our reactivity. How would you like to feel less reactive, right? Less triggering. People don't necessarily hold their finger on the pulse of what ticks you off. Like, wouldn't that be nice, right? Without labeling experiences as inherently good or bad, you are less likely to get swept up in emotional highs and lows. Get off the roller coaster, right? Life's not supposed to be a roller coaster ride. Allowing for a more centered and calm state of mind. Calm's good. You're way more equipped to respond appropriately to life when you start from sort of a calm space. So another thing, clarity and objectivity. Neutrality fosters clearer thinking and better decision making. By stepping back from biases and judgments, you can assess situations more objectively, focusing on facts rather than preconceived notions or emotional attachments. I mean, that's huge, don't you think? Next one, reduce stress. That's worthy. Attaching to specific outcomes or perspectives can create tension and stress, especially if reality doesn't align with your expectations. Expectations, man, that's like setting yourself up for failure anyway. Embracing neutrality allows for greater flexibility and acceptance, leading to less frustration or disappointment when things don't go as planned. And I think we all know things don't always go as planned. If anything, if you want something to change, make a plan. But I recommend making plans, but just recognize that things are going to change. Another thing, improved relationships. Neutrality encourages open-mindedness and non-judgment, which helps in resolving conflicts and fostering understanding in relationships. By not holding rigidly to a single perspective, you can empathize with others' viewpoints and find common ground more easily. I think the key is like taking the time to ask the questions for clarity. You may not agree with an opinion that somebody else has, but if you were to take a moment calmly and to ask them, help me understand that. And to really, and sometimes maybe you have to actually clarify and say, I'm not here trying to attack. Like, obviously, I have my opinion, you have your opinion, but your opinion's different than mine. And I am truly interested in understanding your opinion because maybe I'm open to expanding my own, right? I think that we really could foster some really great relationships and conversations. And ultimately, we all get better from that. And I think, honestly, a lot of the big social problems, we're going to need some of that over time. We're going to need to be able to foster healthy conversation and hold space for each other with our different points of view because we've had different experiences, and recognizing that there's always a story behind absolutely everything. And it makes sense when it's in context. But if you don't have that context right now, of course, it doesn't make sense. The next thing, personal growth. When you view experiences and challenges as neutral, you are more likely to see them as learning opportunities rather than obstacles or threats. And don't we show up different when we look at something as, oh, this is an opportunity for me to grow, right? Versus this is a threat. Like this is full on. I need to put my feet in concrete. I need to, put up all my guards and basically be ready to attack. Um, Totally different type of relationship fostered, right? With those mentalities. This mindset promotes growth and resilience as it removes the fear of failure or the pressure to always be right. What are we protecting? Who needs to be right all the time? Don't get me wrong. I think at the end of the day, is there something more right? There is, in my opinion, for me, right? I mean, there's something that's more right for me. I still stay open. But oftentimes, if I'm really firm in something, then I feel incredibly confident. I don't know, like in some situation, if I feel really, really confident, I'm going to hammer home on that. And that, if somebody else doesn't like that, I'm going to do that. That's okay. At the end of the day, that's not going to change what I do, right? I am an independent individual. I am healthy and whole, and I can make my own decisions for myself, as I hope you can as well, right? And holding space for that, because not everybody's in the same place, and that's okay too, right? But at the end of the day, we don't always have to be, let's say, right. It's not necessarily, I'll just say, it's ego, right? If you need to be right all the time, chances are you're in ego a lot of the time. So this is the next point: freedom from ego. Attachment to a particular view is often rooted in ego, the need to be right or validated. Seeing things as neutral frees you from ego-driven patterns, allowing you to engage more authentically and without the need to defend or control situations. In essence, viewing things neutrally enables greater peace, adaptability, and openness to diverse experiences, as all of which contribute to a more balanced and fulfilling life. Neutrality is a beautiful thing. Understanding it, allowing yourself to hold the space to have your opinion while also allowing other people to have their opinions is a really mature thing to do. Won't get it right all the time. Won't get everything right all the time. But if we move in that direction, we're constantly striving to be a little bit more, along those lines, moving towards, working towards, communicating with that intention, with that agenda, to be moving in that direction, you're moving in a good direction. And the gifts that will come from it, excuse me, will be plenty. Anyway, hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the day, and I'm off to study. Take care. Bye.